Hello students, today we are going to discuss chapter 1 history, that is rise of nationalism in Europe, class 10 CBSE chapter, and particularly I am going to discuss question wise. Instead of discussing the whole chapter, I am going to discuss question wise. And all of you know this year we are fortunate that this year you are going to appear 2 chapter and 20 marks. So from we can expect that 10 marks from each chapter. And let me tell you, first I'll be explaining you in English and afterwards I'll try to translate in Hindi. The problem is that I'm not that much good in Hindi because I'm not from the Hindi belt. Anyway, so without wasting your time, just I'm taking you to the first question. I have selected 5 to 6 questions from the chapter 1, and I hope that 90% I'm sure that 2 3 questions will be coming out of this discussion which I am going to do. The first question is here: why was the revolution more popular in Europe? But before coming to this point, let me tell you, nationalism. When there is intense love, deep love is there. When you love your motherland, that is called nationalism. For example, you're watching cricket match and you're supporting your team, your country. That is nationalism. Simple meaning of nationalism. I'm giving example. So, and we are. Let us discuss about Europe. I, I if I am not wrong, you must be you can remember the Duke Metternich of Austria. Once he told that when France sneezes, the whole Europe catches cold. It means that whatever something happened in France, that started spreading to other parts of Europe. So here the nationalism started particularly from France and started spreading to other parts of the Europe. Okay, so all of you know that in class 9 you studied the French Revolution, that is 1789, and afterwards almost all the countries they also started demanding after 1789 your 1832 that Greek War of Independence, 1861 unification of Italy, and 1871 the German unification, and afterwards the Balkan countries also they demanded their independence. So all these things you'll be studying. Now let me explain you this question first. So here the first point: why the people of Europe they participated actively in the revolutions, whether it's a France, whether it's a Italy, whether it's in Germany or in the Balkan countries. The thing is that the key word you can see here. Let me take the laser pointer. Here you see I have written here repression, or you can say oppression. When a ruler rules the people with an iron hand, then the people definitely they tolerate, but for long time they do not tolerate. They always wait for the opportunity to take revenge, and that was one of the reason that revolution was more popular, because of the autocratic rule of the kings queens of the Europe. Here government means I am talking about the democratic government, I am talking about your monarchy. So you can write, instead of government you can write down also that autocratic rule of the monarchy. Okay, second point is your development of secret societies. Many secret societies were formed by the leaders, and they were training the young generation to fight for their country, just like young Italy. You must be reading, must have read in the unification of Italy. Or in India also, a lot of secret societies were formed, and Barindranath Ghosh, that your Aurobindo Ghosh, and your Bhagat Singh, Khudiram Bose, all of this, particularly this extremist period in Indian National Congress. So they also sacrificed themselves. In the same way, many secret societies were formed in Europe, and they actively participated in these revolutions. That you will be discussing when in the unification of Italy. The next one is coming autocratic. Here autocratic means rule by, you see here auto means one, cratic means rule. So rule by one, and that is never good. When a person takes decision alone without discussion is called autocratic. So here you know that in class 9 you studied Louis 14, 15, 16. I'm giving you example so that you will understand. So they were very autocratic. They never discussed, they never ruled for the people of France, and because of their autocratic rule, the people of France revolted. All of you know that, you studied in class 9. So autocratic rule of monarch, here you can write the Louis family, Bourbon family. And what is the so the monarch became the common enemy of the people. because there was common problem. The common problem, for example, at that time the price rise and there was less welfare. So particularly we say in Hindi, roti kapda makan. Okay, common man's, they focus only on these three things: bread, butter, or shelter particularly. So when these common people are neglected by the ruler, definitely they wait for an opportunity to revolt, and so that was another reason that revolutions were more popular in Europe. The next point you can write here that all of you know that it is the American War of Independence also inspired other European countries to raise their voice, and this also started dreaming of independent democratic states. I have given India here, though India was not at that time was ruled by the Mughal rulers as well as British and other European rulers. But I have given examples so that you can understand in India also that nowadays we are living in India and democratic in the world's the most uh, one of the developed democratic country. I have given that with intentionally I have given this India so that you will understand creation of nation. Even the Indians also from 1885 to 1947 under the it was the Indian National Congress was a platform the Indians they started fighting for the freedom of India. So even you can write comparative answer also. It's not like this if you're writing about European history you can't write, you can compare. So always comparative answer is very good. If in this way you can also create impression your evaluator one which is going to check your paper. So this is all about this question. Now another question I'm going to discuss, that is your this is a most expected question this year. When was the Vienna Conference held? Who were the main powers attended? What were the main decisions of the conference? So all of you know, before starting, let me tell you that it is the Napoleon Bonaparte who ruled from 1804 to 1815. And during Napoleonic rule, Napoleon conquered or his family members he appointed as the ruler of different parts of Europe, and he brought a lot of change. But after the defeat of Napoleon Bonaparte in the Battle of Waterloo, and particularly Duke Metternich was one of the famous diplomat at that time. He did, you know, nowadays we should undo whatever Napoleon did. He did undo. He brought, we can say that it is the Vienna Congress pushed back Europe to again those before 1789. Please try to understand. I'm trying to tell you that it is the Vienna Conference pushed back the Europe to 1789. Means whatever was there before 1789, all these things were brought back. Okay. Now, as for the first question is that Vienna. Vienna is in Austria. All of you know that. So please remember Austria. Okay, let me tell you. I think one thing I forgot to tell you. If you want to understand this chapter nicely, you have to keep a Europe map in front of you. Then you can understand the chapter very nicely. Okay. So France is one side, Russia, England, Prussia. Nowadays it is Germany and Austria. So these four countries in one side, another France was another side, and particularly Napoleon Bonaparte. And in Napoleon Bonaparte was defeated by this combined force. And what were the decisions were taken? Bourbon Dynasty, the dynasty of the Louis family, Louis 14, 15, 16. So after 16 was guillotine, the Bourbon Dynasty was removed from the throne of the France. But after that, again in 1815 in Vienna Congress, it was decided they were called back again. The surviving family members that I remember, Louis 17 was invited and he was requested to sit down on the crown of France. So Bourbon dynasty was restored. This is one of the example. Other royal families also were allowed to rule all over the Europe. So you can, it's one example I have given here. You can write other European monarchies, the king, queens, all they were invited to rule European countries. So you can say in one sentence that monarchy returned. Just we say Jurassic returned on something in the Hollywood movies. You can say that Bourbon monarchy returned to Europe. In one sentence also you can write monarchy returned to France. Example you can write Bourbon dynasty. Second thing, France also lost many territories which were captured. Please, mistakes here, please you take it as captured. Okay, captured, make it ed here, captured by Napoleon. So whatever Napoleon had captured, that were given back and were distributed, particularly Russia, England, Prussia and Austria, they distributed among themselves. And a number of small states were created around particularly France, to check the further expansion of France. If you are playing chess, then you know sometimes we check if you want to kill king, or if you want to minister, then you are checking from around. So just like the chess game, here also that different small states were created by these forces, Russia, England, Prussia and Austria, so that France can be checked from different east, west, north and south. Last was that conservative society was to be established. So it was decided that conservative, let me explain you here. When you believe in tradition, when you believe in culture, particularly you are more religious, not spiritual. So let me tell you here that here church was given more power. Okay, the church was given higher importance in the society, and kingship, the dynastic rule, all these things together is called, you can say, the conservative. So conservative society was again established and the decision was taken. So already the 11 minutes has been passed. So let me close here, and another 2 3 questions I'll be discussing in the next video. So if you want to see, if you like this such type of discussion question wise, then you can wait for my next video. By that, thank you.